And thirdly, let's look at the burden of forgiveness. We have been forgiven, we must forgive. Some people have a difficult time forgiving themselves, but most of the time we have no difficulty forgiving ourselves. In fact, the problem is that we forgive ourselves too quickly. And because we forgive ourselves too quickly, we kind of rush into sin. But we need to forgive everyone. We all know that parable in Matthew chapter 18. Let me give a quick summary of it. There was a king who had a servant, and the servant owed him a lot of money. He came and begged him and asked him to be let go from his debt. The master took pity on him and said, okay, I will wipe your debt away. And the man goes away happy until he meets his servant who owes him a few denarii. And he catches him by his throat and says, you're going to pay me everything that you owe me. And the second servant says, please let me go. I don't have the money. And the forgiven servant says, no, you will go to prison until you give me my last dime. And then we catch the story. In verse 32, then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart. We know what we need to do. We know that we need to forgive. We've heard the logic behind it. We've heard that we are trapped in a cage unless we forgive. We know that we have been forgiven, yet we choose not to forgive. Maybe it's because of the alluring nature of sin, where we want to be the eternally offended party. Maybe we want to sit in the corner and lick our wounds and be self-righteous and play the self-victim. Or maybe it is because we forget our ongoing sin and our constant need for forgiveness, and that our sin is bigger than any sin anybody else has done to us. The Ravensbrück concentration camp held up to 130,000 people through those 6 years in northern Germany. It was a concentration camp for women, and there were children also in it. Found in the clothing of a dead child at Ravensbrück concentration camp are these words, O Lord, remember not only the men and women of goodwill, but also those of ill will. But do not remember all the suffering they have inflicted upon us. Instead, remember the fruits we have borne because of this suffering. Our fellowship, our loyalty to one another, our humility, our courage, our generosity, the greatness of heart that has grown from this trouble. When our persecutors come to be judged by you, let all of these fruits that we have borne be their forgiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing that anyone has done to you that is worse than what was done to the folks at the Ravensbrück concentration camp.